So the way I want to start this video is with some context because I think it's important. First thing I want to say is that with this channel, in the last 2+ years and 1,500 videos later, I have almost never, if not ever, complained about any kind of political message, agenda, or anything. That's just not me. I don't bash on the Me Too movement or whatever. That's just not me. I go into a movie and I watch it for what it is, and I ignore that stuff if it's not really something that I support, or if it's not something, I just don't care. It's not who I am. And I want to also paint a picture really quick before I even say anything. I went to this theater meeting my daughters in the parking lot because they couldn't wait to see Dad, because we were like passing each other. And I was like, well, they were like, we want to see you before you go to the movie. And I was like, then meet me at the theater so I can give you a hug. So I met him at the theater, boom, kiss and hug, love you girls, because I'm a dad and I love my fucking daughters. And so I walk away from there. Ironically, I never do that. I've never met them in the park, anything like this, but it's just kind of funny that I had this really nice, sweet, sincere moment with my daughters before I walked into this movie to have a message beaten, just absolutely beaten over my head, that men are shit, that men are rapists, that men want to make women subservient, that men are trying to make women figure out or realize what their place is in the world. Fuck. Fuck. And if it was just the absolute brazen, I don't even want to call it subtext. It is the plot of the movie. It is the forefront. It is the movie. Is a feminist agenda, period. I don't know what else to call it. But with that all being said, even if it was just that, I don't know if I'd be able to look past it because it's just so unbelievably in your face. This is like a Lifetime movie on steroids. But the movie is also shockingly awful. This is a remake of 1974's classic Black Christmas. What does this movie have to do with the original Black Christmas? Here's my theory. This is Blumhouse. The director of this directed a movie for Into the Dark, a Hulu original series where they do a new movie episode every month, and it has to do with the holiday of that month. And this is a Christmas movie. Last year, the director did a movie for Blumhouse called New Year, New You. It was their New Year's movie. They made it a year ago, and here she is making a Christmas movie. I bet money that this movie was made for Into the Dark, and then last minute they decided, let's slap Black Christmas onto it because we own the rights or whatever. And then they snuck in a couple homages to the movie, because there's a couple little homages, but outside of that, the only connection to the original movie in this is girls in a sorority on Christmas. That is it. The directions this film goes into. Because here's the thing. I went into this movie hoping to defend it. That's how I am with movies. I feel like I'm somebody who likes to defend films that are being shit on unjustly. That's kind of the purpose of the whole point I've started this channel. I mean, I had a couple other reasons, but that was probably the primary reason, because I've seen so many people dogging out so many films that I was like, it really isn't that bad, or I genuinely thought that movie was good. And so something like this, where I saw it was getting blasted by people being like, oh my God, they're pushing a feminist agenda. And I'm like, oh, come on. That's your excuse for everything. You've said that about the new Terminator. You said that about, Star Wars and Captain Marvel and whatever. And I'm just so sick of hearing about it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go into this thing and I'm going to just sit down. I'm going to let the movie unfold. And when I come out, I'm going to give my true opinion like I always do. And I was like maybe 5 minutes into this movie, because there's this opening sequence, and I was like, that was an alright opening sequence, because you're talking about a slasher movie that is a remake of a classic that they decided to make PG-13 and then just release it kind of out of nowhere, giving like maybe a couple months of notice, to where we got the trailer and we were like, what? They're remaking a Black Christmas again? I mean, we already got one in like 2006, and it was not that beloved. It was, mostly maligned. I actually enjoy it, and I know a lot of people who do. But I was like, all right, here we go again. I never watched the trailer. I don't really care for trailers much, so I went into this one mostly blind, outside of, obviously knowing what the original is, and I just rewatched the original yesterday in preparation for this. Unnecessary, let me tell you what. But this, from that point, it's very mediocre to actually pretty lame for like maybe half the movie. Then it takes this dramatic turn to where I was sitting there, and I went and I saw this with a buddy of mine, Tony, and we were laughing in the theater out loud, him and I, for maybe 30-40 minutes of this movie, just kept looking at each other like, they're not really doing this. They're not really going this direction with this movie. And we literally, we kept sitting there going, it can't get worse. They can't do it. But it just kept getting worse. It kept getting worse. And I couldn't believe my eyes. I have seen only a couple other movies this bad in the theaters in my life. I will tell you this. I know this sounds a little hyperbolic, and I know I just got out of the movie, so my emotions may be getting the best of me. Whatever, I don't care. This is arguably the worst movie I've ever seen in the theater. This is the kind of movie you watch and you go, how did this get in theaters? What was Blumhouse thinking with this fucking abysmal film? And here's the thing too. A movie like this actually irritates me more for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's a remake of a classic. And then you do nothing to honor that movie outside of, as I said, probably some later in production inserted homages. Silly little tiny things. I also think that one of these shots is an homage to Exorcist 3, but we'll see what people think about that later. Hopefully no one sees this and no one will know what I'm even talking about, because this movie shouldn't be viewed. It's god-awful. Anyway, go see it if you want, of course. I genuinely can't. My buddy and I, we sat outside the theater for a while after, and we're just like, we cannot come up with why anyone would like this movie. And the only thing I said, and I know this might be taken in the wrong in the wrong way, and it is what it is. The only thing I could say to him was, the only kind of people I could see liking this movie is hardcore man-hating feminists. Because this movie has an agenda, and it is just absolutely beaten over your head. I've never seen a movie more upfront with its bias and agenda than this film. It's shocking. Anyway, but that's not even the reason I hate it as much as I do, because that's bad. But what I was trying to get to before is that it's a pretty competently made movie, which is what upsets me about it. And I can look at a really low budget movie that's this bad and go, all right, there was only 10 people on set, and the director had his say over it, and everyone was just kind of giving him his vision, and it's kind of in his lap. With a movie like this, 100 or 200 people worked on this movie. It was produced by a major company, the biggest horror producing company right now. And they thought that this was okay. They thought this was good to release in theaters. It's got really good cinematography. It's a really good looking movie. The actresses in the movie are actually good. I think the main girl, Poots, however you say her name, beautiful girl, gives a pretty good performance in this. But the script is abysmal. Guys, I don't want to give anything away, and I don't know why, but I'm not going to get into spoilers because I just think there will be an audience for this. There always is, no matter how bad a movie is, outside of maybe Death House. There is an audience, and there will be some people who are like, you just don't get it, you're a man, and this and that. Okay, fine, that is what it is. But honestly, like, a movie like this, it's too well made to be this bad. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is a competently made movie that's so incompetent in storytelling. Like, what I was getting at with the plot in the spoilers, you can't believe the direction that this goes in. Now, when I was talking to Tony, because we sat in the parking lot for we sat in the theater for 15 minutes until the lights came up and the screen went green. I've never even seen that before, but I just sat there in awe for like a couple minutes as the trailer, and the whole credits ran through. There wasn't some post-credits Marvel sequence to sit there for. We just sat there, even though there is a like mid-credits, post-credits sequence, which was even stupider. I couldn't even believe they went in that direction. But we sat there for like 15 minutes and then went outside, and I was wearing my t-shirt and shorts, and it's very cold outside, and we sat there and I shivered and I shook for maybe 20, 30 extra minutes talking to him about like how horrid the movie was. And we were laughing out loud. And I've seen a lot of movies with Tony, and every movie I've seen with him, we've really enjoyed. And our conversations are usually like 2 or 3 minutes. Like, yeah, man, it was really good, and I like this, and I like that. We don't usually have long conversations, but we could not help ourselves. In fact, we want to get together and do a podcast on this because I want to talk about this in full spoiler discussion. This movie jumps the shark. I never use that expression, but it jumps the shark so hard. And another thing I was talking to Tony about out in the parking lot after the movie was, I was telling him, would I hate this movie as much as I did if it wasn't a Black Christmas remake, supposedly? If they took that title off? And I said yes, I would hate it a little less because this movie has nothing, in the direction they go within it. It's insulting that they put the Black Christmas title on this film. I mean, it goes so far out of control. You have no idea, you're not even ready for the direction they take with this movie. I kept looking over at him, just stunned, and he was doing the same. Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Stop. Why are you doing this? Don't do this. This is just dreadful. So you got horrible subtext, which, as I said, isn't even subtext. It's just like primary focus of the film. Men are shit. You know, we're pointing this out. Rape culture, the whole thing. Which I've seen movies explore this. I've seen plenty of women empowerment movies with horrible male characters. I Spit on Your Grave. Most recently, Nightingale. I just watched the movie MFA. I've watched a lot of really good freaking female empowerment, men are shit movies, and rape revenge, whatever, what have you. They do not beat you over the head like this. But that being said, I'm kind of a mess right now. I'm a mess in my head because of just how shockingly awful this movie was to me. This is the worst film of 2019 by far, easily. Easily the worst film I've seen in 2019. It's shockingly bad. We could not come up with a single positive outside of like superficial bullshit. Like, oh, I thought the lead trick, their acting was good. Okay, and the cinematography is good. I guess I shouldn't say that there's not technical aspects that I could point out as well. But I'm not there for technical aspects. Like, that's added bonuses. Like, if a movie also looks great and has good acting and whatnot, but your story is central. Like, that's the main focus of a movie. That's what you're there for, is the story. Wow. And it's PG-13. So it's like you don't get any kills. You can tell the R rating was edited out of the movie. There's like ADR where they insert, instead of like jack off, they say junk off. And then there's scenes where someone yells something that's supposed to have this like impactful moment. Like, take this, you son of a, and then it just cuts out. That's not the line, but it's something like that, and just cuts, and you're like, dude, this the kills are super weak. The story is abysmal. It's just an added insult to injury that it's a Black Christmas remake. Like Blumhouse should not have released this in theaters. Like this would have worked. Like it wouldn't have been a good movie in my opinion. I don't care. Nothing would have saved it. But this should have been, and I'm telling you, it was an Into the Dark episode. This should have been the Christmas episode this year. It should have been the episode, and I swear it was. What a horrid movie. I hate giving reviews like this. I don't enjoy this. But I if someone tells me that they loved this movie, I'm just gonna sit there in shock. I mean, good for you. I'm always the person that's like, you enjoyed it. That's great. I would like an explanation of what you found entertaining, good about this movie. I'm super curious on that. So we'll see what the general consensus is. But this movie deserves an IMDb score of a 3, something along those lines. Something that like I would completely consider off limits to watch at all. Like I won't be surprised if this drops into the 2s. Like it's that bad. For me anyway. I thought it was just dreadful in every way. So yeah, there you go. I did not expect to come into this as harsh as I did. When I walked into that theater, I was optimistic. I was ready to be the voice of reason and be like, come on, guys. Come on, it's not that bad. They're not really beating you over the head with it. Like, just stop complaining. Stop thinking everything's an agenda. Stop, the movie's really, the story's fine. The direction that they took is at least unique. And I'm all for unique. I'm all for original. I'm all for non-traditionalism. There's plenty of movies. If you know my channel, you know which ones I'm talking about. There's plenty of movies that I have defended that take risks in a franchise, a remake, whatever. I can't even begin to imagine what they were thinking when they wrote this script. Fuck. There you go. So I did not expect this to be some 18-minute discussion, but I want a podcast where I discuss this for an hour with Tony and somebody else. I'll get a female on there, Rebecca, my co-host. So we'll get a female perspective as well. Damn! Don't see this. Do not support this movie. Don't go see this. Wait for it to go to VOD or something, or free on Netflix or Hulu. I'm sure it'll be on Hulu. And then you can watch some of it and be like, wow, damn. I'm so glad I didn't see this in theater. So you're welcome. Adios.